Welcome to sunny Melbourne in springtime, or is it, folks? Because we've had a bee swarm, we've had hail, we've had downpour of rain, and we've got wind continuously, and now we're back in the sun again. What do you expect to grow in this sort of weather, folks, in springtime? So I'm out in the orchard. I'm going to have a quick look around because I've been ducking and weaving the rain, that is, avoiding the rain. And as you can see in the background there, it's rolling in again, and they're an ugly looking cloud, that's for sure, folks. They're scattered everywhere and they're annoying me. But it is what it is, so we make do with what we have. And let's hope our trees are doing what they're doing and our veggies are doing as well. Let's check out some fruit trees. This is an apple tree that we pruned back in one of the workshops we done earlier in the season in winter. And I just want to reflect a little bit here on the undercuts. Now, undercut means cutting underneath the bud. Normally, when we say prune back to a bud, we prune back just to a bud above the bud, that is, and on a slight angle. Whereas an undercut, it's to trigger a different enzyme which will trigger the tree to flower. Don't mind the wind noise, so that we don't have new shoots coming up. So an example of a new shoot is this here. See that there? How it's just come straight up. Now this isn't this year's growth, that's the new growth there. Okay, and we've done a cut last season just above this last bud. This used to be a bud, a node, before these leaves came out. And you can see as we've cut it there, it's a new shoot. So you get in the auxin, which is the enzyme that causes to get growth. And that's what's happening with that. But when you do an undercut, which means instead of cutting above the bud, you cut below. This is an example here. See this little stumple bit here? Now that there was cut just below the next bud, which was opposite to that one on this side. So you can imagine a little bud that was on the branch there, that's been removed. We've left this little stubble. Now what we've done with that is trigger the auxin to establish, and that means we get more flowers, and that's exactly what's happened. It's flowered there, it's flowered here. Look at this undercut. It's flowered there. It's also flowered down here. Look at this undercut. It's flowered there as well. And not on this side, but we've got some more flowers on that side there. And if we go all the way around, it's not 100% accurate, folks, but it's a great way of establishing it. Done the same thing here. This one hasn't done that. So you can see in this case here, we've only had leaves coming up and leaves there and leaves there. But then we come to this one, there are the flowers. So normally, cutting just above a bud, you'll get new shoots coming up in springtime, and that's generally the reaction with trees. But when you do an undercut and you leave a little bit of stubble, that causes the sap flow to stop at that point and come back down and push back onto that bud to burst. And it also releases the cytokinin, which is the flowering parts or the enzyme that causes that to flower for you. And then you get this beautiful effect, and hopefully the fruit comes springtime. Well, I just said come springtime. And that means it's not spring yet. Bugger. This is a European pear here, just coming into flower now. And some of these pears haven't actually fruited before for me, folks, so they've been putting a lot of growth, and we've worked on them pretty hard. You can see how I've opened up the vase on this. You can't do this now when you're a tree because it's right into the flowering and growing stages, but this is something you want to create. It doesn't have to be open vase. It can be espaliered. It could be vertical if you like, but if you like this vase shape, at the end of the day, you do it in autumn, winter. But look at the buds. We've got buds coming up. Now this is an undercut, as we showed you earlier, but we've got leaves here. We've got leaves there coming up. Where here's another undercut. That hasn't burst out yet, but this side has, and the flowers are coming through. So that's worked there, and if we move along, just to validate what we do with the undercuts, there are flowers there as well. So it does work more times than not, and especially on fruit trees that otherwise don't want to perform and behave. They don't flower for you. So undercuts really do work well, folks. So think about that, and if you want to learn more about that, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. We've got plenty of videos there for you to learn from. What else is going on out here? Have a look at these two trees, both pear trees. I'm going to stand in between so you can see the size difference, obviously, compared to a human. Now, I am about 6.5 foot tall, folks. Don't mind the way the camera's positioned. He always makes me look a little bit shorter than I really am. And when you do visit me, make sure you take your shoes off or your heels. Anyway, this tree's been pruned. We did this in the workshop again. Now, this tree has been pruned, as I just said, but I want to compare it to the tree that hasn't. They're very, very similar in shape. Maybe this one was slightly wider, but at the end of the day, they had a lot of upright growth like this. Now, have a look at this. We've got some flowers down the bottom, beautiful. Some at this point, but the bulk of it is going up the top there, way above my reach that I have. So this, I'm going to prune this down. Not now, we're going to do this in the next episode, and we're going to sacrifice all those flowers up there because I want to see how the tree behaves. Because if by pruning it now at this time of the year, will it cause the tree to freak out and drop its flowers and continue growing, or will it force its energy back into those flowers and they become bigger and stronger and more prolific as far as production? Now, I've noticed here, I haven't got my glasses on, but there are ants on the tree as well. So at a close glance, I can't see any aphids. I don't see scale. Scale wouldn't be on this. It would be aphids or something else on it. But the point here, the flowers, not bad on this side. Come and have a look at this. We've got some good flowers on here down low, which is nice. But compare that to that tree there. That's what you got to do. So if you've got a tree in your garden and it's grown really tall and you don't want the height, you got to bring it down. Now's not really the time to do it, but I'm going to do it so we can see what happens. I'm going to sacrifice the production of fruit on this. Maybe we don't lose it, to see the results, because at the end, that's the aim. Covered in flowers, undercuts everywhere. We've shown you that. These ones didn't work, but all the others have. But even more importantly, down below, we've got lots of little, fruit-bearing spurs here that are going to give us an abundance of fruit. Love it. Well, how are you supposed to garden with the weather so radical, folks? At the end of the day, it's tough to get out there yourself to do any gardening, and the plants will struggle as well to be able to grow. You can see here, if you've got your soil right, and that's the key to success in your garden, getting the soil right. Everything else will toughen that out above ground. So below ground's key and critical, and then above ground, providing you don't get some ridiculous frost or something really crazy, your plants will get beaten up a little bit, but they should settle down again. And that's what's happening here. I've showed you these before. They're just silver beet. We know how easy they grow, but you can see the beetroots coming along underneath. And we've got a broccoli plant coming up here, which I think it's the purple sprouting. That's slower than the one I showed you the other day over there. That one's taken off like wildfire. This one's just kicking into gear. But if you go along, even the I forgot what this stuff's called. Kale, that's it. I was going to call it rocket. I mean, the kale's taken off, but these stalks, they're not woody, mate. They're succulent. You use these in the salad. Do not throw anything out of your garden. Even if they've flowered like that, it's a pretty addition to a lovely fresh salad that you can make. Celery, growing well. Onions, like wildfire. Beetroot. We've got some weeds growing in here. More silver beet, more beetroot on that side there. And we're enjoying life. And guess what? I'm doing very little in the garden because I've done all the prep work at the base. And that's what you should do too. So if you haven't done the prep work in the base, don't complain about your garden not succeeding, because it's all in the soil. If you're using slow release toxic chemical fertilizers, if you're using those soluble ones that are little balls and they turn to milky white when you add water, they're no good. They're not digestible by the microbe colony in the soil. They won't digest it. It'll be bypassed by them. Some will go to the plants, burn some of the root fibers, and a lot of that, if it's in the ground, will get travelled out in the waterways and end up in your waterway, so it goes in the water table. So those toxins, as much as you think you can't see them, and if you can't see them, it doesn't hurt you, it does a lot more damage than just your own body. It destroys the soil, the life in the soil, goes into your waterways, and so on and so on. We know that. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. That's a fact. So look after your soil, look after your garden with all the good stuff. And it's not just our products, folks. A lot of companies do produce a lot of good organic products that you can use in your garden. But if you want to try ours, you can go to our website, vasili'sgarden.com. We've got a lot of click and collects running around in Victoria, as well as some garden centres. And Shepparton, as I told you, has just jumped on board, and Echuca is going to be stocked up very, very soon as well. vasili'sgarden.com. From me, Vasili, Maresi.